super cloudy today. I'm surprised it's not pouring rain. And what's going on today? I guess more news of people being terrified over a drone. This one says, it's nerve-wracking. Residents in Sacramento's Tahoe Park neighborhood upset by invasive drone. So what's going on here, huh? It says neighbors in Sacramento's Tahoe Park have questions about a drone that they say flies above backyards and homes most evenings. Is it legal? Near Photos Court and 63rd Street, neighbors say a drone flies above homes back and forth around 14th Avenue at dusk. Here's the interesting thing too, the person here, the neighbor, says it's nerve-wracking and they believe the drone operator is a nearby neighbor, saying it zooms by so fast I have to really look where it's coming when it comes back. So if you know it's your neighbor and so forth, then why not just speak to them? Ask them like, hey, what are you doing and all that? Because I would assume if they're flying it for fun and all that, no harm, no foul, then what's the issue, correct? As well, according to this, it says the news station started to interview multiple people of them saying, yeah, I've noticed this too. They're saying it's annoying, they're wondering if it's legal. Again, why don't you just go find whoever's flying it, especially if they say it's someone in the neighborhood? Doesn't that seem like a little weird in that case? Now, they do mention for whatever reason during that time the airspace was restricted, so they're wondering how the person could actually legally fly. I would imagine it's just someone just goofing off, in my opinion anyways, because many times people just buy a drone, they fly it, no harm, no foul, for example. They don't know anything about the regulations and all that. As well, they start talking about how drones could be illegal. For example, depending on what you're doing, it says drone operation in a neighborhood becomes illegal if the drone captures photos, sound, or engages in a neighbor's family activity without permission, according to California's Civil Code section 1708.8. Unless someone has specific legal authority, they cannot record your family activities without your permission. And then they talk about how there's people, for example, sunbathing naked, so they're concerned about this drone and all that. Again, why don't they just go find the person? How hard could it be in this case? It's almost like you're making it a big deal for the sake of making it a big deal, isn't it? Man, do people just can't talk to each other anymore when it comes to this stuff? Even the pictures in this news report, it's kind of funny because they're just showing, I guess, various drones flying in people's houses, for example, like the area. And these drones, they look like they're delivery drones and all that. You're gonna get used to this, I guess, eventually when they say, oh, these commercial operations can fly over everywhere. Would people be saying the same thing? I don't want, for example, drone deliveries because someone's sunbathing naked, for example. But either way, it just sounds like a lot of people making a huge deal of something that's really easy to solve in that case. In contrast, what if the drone's being used to, I guess, quote, fight crime? Would you be okay with the drone flying around and, I guess, capturing images, facial recognition? According to this, it says Sweden promises more drones, facial recognition, and gang violence fight. Sweden plans to deploy more equipment to better tackle gang crime, with the government promising the police an additional 2,500 cameras for the next year and allowing the use of facial recognition, easier use of drones, and external cameras. Sweden is to launch a new camera offensive to tackle gang crime as shootings and bombings between rival gangs continue to rock once peaceful Northern Kingdom. Cameras are extremely important in a situation like this, Stromer said. In a total, the right-wing coalition parties, moderates, Christian Democrats, and liberals want the police to have 2,500 cameras next year instead of the previous target of 1,600, with the minister adding that cameras should be granted if further investigations into surveillance lead to law. In other words, this means a 5-fold increase in the number of cameras since the government took office, Stromer added. So would you be okay with that? Because it deals with, I guess, crime, it's for people's safety. Are you okay with more cameras out in the area and all that? And it says if changes to the law are passed, police will be able to make greater use of facial recognition using AI technology in order to make it easier to identify criminals such as gang members. The government also wants to make automated number plate recognition a tool for the police. So again, in this case, since it deals with, quote, gang violence and all that, would you be okay with more drones and all that, more cameras flying around to identify potential criminals? Or would you say that's too much? That's going to be the way of the future, in my opinion anyways, eventually. A bunch of police cameras everywhere, even though they say, like in the previous story, they're so concerned about just a regular drone, like a consumer one or whatever. In these cases, this is probably going to be a thing where officials will say it's the law. And with all the controversy recently where people in Canadian Parliament literally promoted a Nazi, the House Speaker basically stepped down because it's just, I guess, too big of a deal. So they found a replacement, and this was pretty much the headline today, saying Canada's House of Commons elects first black speaker. So who is this guy? It says House of Commons on Tuesday elected Greg Fergus as its new speaker, making the Liberal lawmaker the first black Canadian to hold the position. The election was triggered by the resignation of Anthony Rota, who stepped down last week after he invited and honored a man who fought for a Nazi military unit during World War II. So you would think, okay, I guess that's great and all, but just doing like a really basic search, this was what came up for the guy, like in the past, like recently here, back in February the 14th, it says, Liberal MP Greg Fergus breached Conflict of Interest Act with letter, watchdog rules. Liberal MP Greg Fergus breached Conflict of Interest Act by writing a letter in support of a television channel's application for mandatory carriage, the Federal Ethics Commissioner has found. The letter was submitted to the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission last year to encourage required distribution of NATV TV, which serves a multicultural francophone audience as part of a digital basic services. Fergus, who represents the Quebec riding of Hull-Almere, is also Parliamentary Secretary to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Treasury Board Mona Fortier, and he has served as chair of the Parliamentary Black Caucus. So it's one of these things. Is there one honest, like, quote, politician out there? It just seems like it's one scandal after another. How do people get, I guess, qualified to do this? Is it just be buddy-buddy with the right people and all that? Alright, see you guys later.